Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. My name is Hannah and I like to lift heavy stuff. Now, in my opinion, we do snatch pulls for 3 reasons. Number 1 is to prepare you to put more weight on the bar when you're going to snatch. Number 2 is to strengthen the positions under heavier load, so to strengthen those key positions that you need to hit in order to execute the best possible snatch you can execute. And number 3 is to develop key technical positions and timing. So no matter where you are, regardless of training cycle or in your weightlifting journey, developing a strong snatch pull and a sound snatch pull is key to making progress in your snatch, and is key to making any kind of strength progress. So here are the 3 most common errors I see people do when they're trying to execute a good snatch pull, when they're trying to execute a snatch pull, full stop. So number 1, I see people do this a lot, and I don't know whether it's like a CrossFit thing, but basically when you're going to pull, people tend to keep their arms dead straight upon making hip contact. What you find that they do are actually like pushing their arms straight throughout the whole pull, creating a very rigid pull. Now, the role or job of the arms is something that's like highly contested in weightlifting anyways, but what I like to say is that after the hip, the arms are there to help guide the bar into the right position for you and help place the bar where you need to place it in order to execute the most technically proficient and the most technically efficient snatch possible. That's what I see the arms to do. Now, obviously, if you are pulling with your arms pushed straight, that's going to stop you from doing that. And what often you see happening is that people will smash their hips through with their arms dead straight and the bar will just loop out in front of them. Now, that obviously means that you are then forced to compensate by like throwing yourself onto the bar to try and catch it, or you just miss it out front. Either way, it's not optimal, and often you do see the carryover from people doing this to a very rigid, difficult looking snatch. A quick and easy fix is just to relax your arms off the floor, and once you make hip contact, just let your elbows follow through and point up towards the ceiling. That way it makes sure that the bar stays nice and close. You can practice this easily by doing hang pulls, really ensuring that your hips come through nicely and then your arms switch on straight after the contact, or doing anything from the hip, because where you haven't got as much time to fix any mistakes, from the hip you'll be able to see straight away whether it's way out in front, whether you're looping it out the back. Easy fix. Stop keeping your arms dead straight. Number 2 of the common mistakes when snatch pulling is that I see people throw their shoulders and throw their head back really drastically. So you'll often see just this movement when doing the pull. Now, I feel like it's fairly obvious that we want to avoid any drastic movement in any kind of direction, because whatever direction you move, the bar will move in the opposite direction. So if you're throwing your shoulders and head back, the bar is going to swing out in front of you. Now, obviously, naturally, your shoulders will tip back a little bit just because you want to make sure that you hit that full extension. But what we want to avoid is throwing our head and shoulders back. When you reach the top of a snatch, you just want to stand really nice and tall and just think about pushing everything towards the ceiling. The thing that I feel like is not drilled home enough is that we want to create as little distance between us and the bar as possible. So by throwing your shoulders and head back, you're creating a whole world of distance between you and the bar, therefore meaning that it will end up forwards and you will have to compensate by throwing yourself underneath it, or to compensate in other areas in order to make sure that you don't miss the lift. So I feel like a really good way to practice this is with muscle snatches, because you have to stand really nice and tall, keep your elbows really nice and tall, and push your head through. Or anything from the hip, again, it's just really great to drill those top part of the positions to make sure that you are ironing out any issues that come after the hip, especially throwing your head back and throwing your shoulders back. The last issue that I see isn't as common and is a little bit more difficult to spot, but when you see it, you often see the same mistakes coming out in people's snatches when they're doing pulls like this. So number 3 is cutting your extension short by slamming your heels back down onto the floor. Now, I see this a lot because people are often very keen to put their feet back on the ground. Naturally, after you finish the extension, you want to get underneath it, but it's no time to rush, because this is where your snatch is either made or broken. Now, there is a chance that this sort of behavior or this sort of movement patterns do stem from the bar being too far out front from the floor. So if you do find that you're being dragged forwards by the bar, you need to correct other issues before you look at anything else. But if you find that the bar is pretty close, but you can't help but slam your feet down on the floor, you need to be looking at doing some tall movements to ensure that you you are reaching that full extension every single time and extracting the most amount of power that you possibly can from your pull. The most important thing that we want to do is avoid creating bad habits that will then transfer over to our snatch. If we are slamming our feet down very, very quickly in the pull, there is a chance that you will be cutting all of your extensions short, meaning that you won't be able to pull a maximum amount of weight, meaning that you won't be able to lift as much as you may want to or as much as you hope to one day. One of the easy exercises that I've seen people do that I've actually never done myself, but I think it's really, really key, is finishing your snatch pull and standing on your toes for a few seconds before you go back down and reset. That way it teaches you to stand really nice and tall and keep that tall extension for a few seconds before you decide to move yourself under the bar and try and place yourself under the bar. So those are my 3 must-stop nasty snatch pull habits that you need to stop doing. Simply. They're super easy fixes and you can do lots of exercises that will try and train that out of you. Don't be too hard on yourself if you are doing those things, because these are things that are taught to us by cues that often are misread or misinterpreted. The important thing to remember is that a great snatch comes from a great pull. And a consistent pull, a consistent pulling technique means that your snatch will be even more consistent, meaning that we will all be much, much happier snatchers. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, as well as subscribe to my channel, because a lot of exciting stuff happens here and you just don't want to miss out. And also, I'm just good people. You know, I'm just good people. Let me know in the comments below if you found that you do some of these things or whether you've seen other people do them. And I'll catch you in the next video.